Welcome, my friends, to the Aquarian TV, where we will go through July's astrology. That almost rhymed. Dog, until I can afford to get a trademark song, if anybody's got some intro music I could use, I want it to be exciting, a little peaceful though, because this is a sacred thing we are doing here. As we explore the heavens together, as we build our soul here together. That is a sacred thing. The month of July is bound to be heart opening, soul challenging, materially refining. We're going to be tested about our passions. Is our heart really in what we're doing? Is our life force being fed? These are questions and situations and circumstances that may arise. We have Venus will be turning retrograde in the sign of Jupiter, Leo, Sun's home. Venus has her joy in the fifth house of children and play and fun. Fifth house is lit. Fifth house is great. Romance. You could have, and when it goes retrograde, it pulls back, and I find when planets go in retrograde, all the re's. Put a re before anything related to Venus. Venus is love. Re-love. You might have a love reignited in your relationship, a coming together in the heart space, connecting with the heart of another romantically, playfully, recreationally, creatively. A new project with that at the summer solstice, with the start of Cancer, we emotionally have a new birth of a feeling about, you name it. That's the energy. What do we want to have a new feeling about? That's what the energy is doing right now. It's pouring out fresh water. Cardinal water sign. Cancer, bringing us into the season of Earth. Into Earth. How are we becoming vessels for this new divine water infused with sacred light? Well, where there's light, there can't be darkness. So we're going to want to clean up the darkness that is our real practical life, my daily habits, the voice that I talk to myself with. We could release. This is entering back into the womb for your second birth. And we might have these moments of emotional fulfillment and feeling loved by Mother Universe. And then there might be times where that feeling of that love feels like it's left us. Our heart is cold. Venus retrograde in the heart of the dragon that we're in. It could be romances coming back. But it could be romance coming back to your relationship. It could be it's a childlike spirit. Venus in retrograde could be your children coming back. It's really that simple. I'm just getting ready to go back to school. That's so funny that going back to school time is in Virgo season, because that's Virgo's like the one running around getting like pencil sharpeners and pencils and pencil pouch and trapper keepers. Getting all the everything organized to go and slay it in school. I wonder if they put that up there on purpose. Just so wild and beautiful is this gift of astrology that we have to get to know ourselves better. Know thyself. The inscription on the entry to the temple of Delphi or Apollo or Isis, ultimately. Isis sits behind the veil. And she is the most prominent in the season of Cancer, where the motherly aspect of God is raining down and bringing us up and in to herself to purify us, to excrete that which is poison, toxic. There's relationships, attachments, attitudes about life. And then nurture it, this new, fresh soul that is going to be a little bit more sensitive when it goes back out. And when you go back out, come back in. There she is with her arms wide open, and she was with you the whole time you were there. Out. There is no going out from her. I mean, she brings us in and she brings us out. A meditation on our own mortality might be something that happens when we have our full moon and opposite of Cancer and Capricorn. Capricorn's the tomb. Cancer's the womb. If we meditate on the tomb, then we will appreciate that womb a lot more. The fragility of life, the gift of this, the technology. This is great. And then that mental process spurs on, it brings up the waters, the emotion, the air stirs the waters. And then we get a chance to focus that light onto what we want to build here. What do you want? That's always, and we have to check our desires. Is this what my ego wants? Or is this what ultimately we want? Lots of us have families, and then it's just me and my wife and kids on a ranch with a shotgun. But there's a whole, that sounds great actually. But we have to make sure we're not going into escapismville, which has been a theme of Neptune and Pisces for the past almost our whole freaking life. Last freaking 15 years, at least. Well, when Neptune was in Aquarius, we got the internet interest. Or it might have been back. Anyways, I'm trying to say this to say this. We're going to have a sextile between Neptune and Pluto. Neptune will be trining the Sun at the last degree, as Venus at the last degree of Leo turns retrograde. It's in 3 weeks. It's going to be a real big shift of just I think more hopeful. I want to say we're getting through a block. Neptune, by taking a more mystical approach to life, more our imagination being broadened and more pleasant and constructive towards a greater goal than just one's own self or family. We need people. Take a look at this world. But through our small daily choices, I choose to feel good in this moment. Bam. You just chose not to feel bad. And that reverberates. We have, I feel like we could have this great big dream, but we might be sharing it with others and they shoot it down. But that might be constructive. Pluto in Capricorn retrograde is destructive, but the destruction process is also constructive. What is in our chalice, our cup, our earthen soulful vessel that needs to get scraped out, that's taking up room so we can't receive grace? Oftentimes it's attachments. These attachments come from, I think, just selfishness, habitual patterns, and just habits. With Uranus and Taurus, we could really break those chains. And it starts by taking a higher perspective, not getting caught up in the monkey mind, and having our heads on a bigger prize. Uranus is a higher mind, the mind of God, the higher vibration frequency of Mercury, the messenger of the sun. It goes very fast. It's good for working during the day and communicating and getting emails sent out, but then it's not good at chilling. When we get home, call upon the moon and Venus and Taurus and the mother of Cancer. Bring in that energy and put Mercury, your monkey mind, to bed for a little while. And then let us go into our heart space and analyze our feelings. What in my life is emotionally uncomfortable? That could be the source of many an issue that we don't want to address it. Now, sometimes there's things that we can't address and control. This is always a time to let go and accept those things that we can't control. Don't worry about 2 years ahead from now, because A, it might never happen. B, this is all there is. 2 months from now, you'll be here. 2 months from now. Just 2 months from now. But still here. 2 years ago, how have we changed? Is it still one more night? Oh, well, I've been doing it for this long, so why? What's one more day of doing it? Start tomorrow. Procrastinators unite tomorrow. I saw that on a t-shirt. Now is the time. Now is the time to bring heaven to earth. And that's going to shake up the earth. And that's what it needs. And that's what it's calling. And if we're not bringing stuff that's shaking up the earth, that's revolutionary, even rebellious a little bit, a soul rebel, a spiritual warrior, going forth in love courageously, confidently, authentically, coming from the heart, and nothing can go wrong when we're in that vibe. And that's not always easy to get there, especially when we look at the news and we're just flooded with them. Suffering, to be honest with you. And let that suffering not be for naught. What do we do with suffering? We transmutate it. How do we do that? By our perspective and our view of it. You could think of a disease and ailment as a curse, even as a result from some lifestyle, self-inflicted. But then you could take that consequence, that suffering, and transmutate it by saying, I am taking on this suffering for the salvation of my own soul and for that of the whole entire universe that ever was and ever will be. That's how we're attaching our small little actions with the heavens. That's how we're magicians, through perspective. What's the best perspective to take? It's often the healthiest for us, mentally, physically. And it's that this world is ultimately calling out for love to be loved and constantly gives of herself. We see that in the physical world as it is in the spiritual world. She is constantly giving us her life-giving waters. Let us fill up our cups right now in this season. Really open up our hearts. Bring the color green into it. Meditate on the green around your heart area, the green grass, the green trees. It's the greenest time of the year right now. Bring that green into your heart. Breathe in and out of your heart. Our hearth, our middle ground, our heart. We tend to get so head-centric. We think that our consciousness is just in our brain. Our body is in our consciousness. All of this is a product of consciousness. Things start from the no-thing realm, thought, feeling. You can't see those. And then they manifest. Earth's the last stop. So, knowing that, let's retrace back. We go back to fire, to the initial spark that comes through ultimately air, and then water, and then earth. But then the way our seasons go, it goes fire, okay, that's first. But then earth, that's last. Air, that's second. Water, that's third. That's the pattern of creation. It's a crisscross sacred geometry. The reason why the days of the week don't seem like they're in order. You're like, Sunday, okay, that's 1. Monday, 2. Thursday, Tuesday. Tuesday is Mars. Mars is like the 5th planet away. How did you go from 1 to 2 to 5? What it is sacred geometry. It makes a 7-pointed star when you put it in order. It's amazing. Gosh, this whole place is amazing. A childlike heart is what we're asked and what we could act on right now. Mars is all about action. It can also be a heartbreak, but a heartbreak so that our heart can grow back bigger so it's able to love more. It's a whole sword in the heart. The arrow to the heel. And from this wound, from this suffering, is an outpouring of grace available? Is an outpouring of nourishment, inspiration, comfort for others, perhaps going through similar things. And we all experience pretty much the same human condition here. So some have it a lot worse, really. 'Cause I go out in public and see people with strokes, can't even walk. Old people. People with bald heads from chemotherapy. Short men. I'm sorry. But these are a few of the saddest things Why am I thinking of sad things? Because it's reality. And it actually makes it more... It helps me to switch my perspective to be more thankful, if anything. Our perspective right now is being asked to be more emotionally fulfilled, more heart-centric, and we're really stepping out of the head centricity with Mercury going into Cancer, which will happen any day now. So that could have been a little bit of too much mental gymnastics, just mental activity. And now that's going to go into the waters. So we'll be thinking about our feelings. We'll be thinking about how we could start new feelings by how we think. Using our mind as a tool, not being a tool of our mind. It could be a trickster, or it is it's the magician card, Mercury. Mercury, I always think all the planets are the most important. like Mercury might be the most important planet. Its joy is in the first house, and it's known as horoscopos there. Mercury, the messenger, all these angles are the angels, are messengers of light. This is all about light coming into Earth, into us. This gives us a chance, our know-how, our knowledge of what the matrix looks like, to get the best spot in the star shine. Suck it up, work it. At the end of, in 3 weeks, we're going to have a new heart, our soul will feel like it's got a new flame, hopefully. I'll be feeling childlike. And then it's kind of like getting shot down and saying that's stupid. And they might be right. But then we could either take that as an ego hit and be pissed off and learn nothing. Or we could really say, well, I'm doing this for more than just me. I'm doing this for a collective. And this is, they say criticism is better than praise. It's more constructive. Definitely. And it could be this could be just a voice in your head that's telling you, dig deeper. This could be better. Is this part of the news paradigm, or is this part of the old system? Is this revolutionary enough? Is this in line with your heart, with your most authentic self? That's what is what you're doing, filling you with life force. Is your heart hurt, heavy? Does it need mending? Now there's a motherly touch, nurturing, arms reaching and cradling your soul back to health. We have to be patient and sit in silence and let down our guard, our walls, our fear, our imagination, our worries, our regrets. Lay them all down and enjoy being in the presence of the Mother of God. And let her feed you there. Ah, that's nice. That's nice. Let's go and pick some tarot cards, shall we? That's that. It's Cancer season. It's about the mother. Mother. You mother lover. Got 2 cards. And the power of 3 compels me. Our first card that wants to talk to us about the month of July, Cancer season with Venus going retrograde, and then the nodes finally moving out of the Taurus Scorpio axis this month. If that happens without the economy crashing, that would be a prediction that I had wrong. Because I thought if it was going to go down, it would go down with the South Node in Scorpio. But see, that Taurus and hosting Uranus for the next, I think, 7 more years. By the time Uranus gets out of Taurus into Gemini, I guarantee you, they're going to break it down so that they could put us back up on some worldwide connected and monitored digital security thing. And then make us take the mark of the beast. That's so stupid. Mark of the beast stuff. Get to the cards, Liam. Death upside down. Scorpio upside down. It makes me think of the tail of the dragon, the upside down part of the serpent in Scorpio. That's going deep into deep Painville and Darkville, and addressing demons and slaying them, and then stepping on their tail from, you grab the tail, get to stomp on the head first, and then grab the tail and stretch it out. Like this. And that's a good symbol of what we have to do with the nodes in our life. The North Node can be an unquenchable hunger and desire that we have that we never obtain. No. It's cruel. It's cruel. And the South Node is stuff that you were going for before that you did get. So the South Node, but it also excretes out. It's the karmic. If you fulfill some karmic duty, then the South Node spits it out. Or it retains it keeps a record of what we've done. And if we haven't addressed stuff from our South Node in a life, then it shows up in our chart again. It's like when you die and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this. Like, and that thought, I think, like, it's captured and then imprinted into the next lifetime that you enter into this. Now, this is crazy. What is going on here? How did we get here? Why are we here? What are we here to do? These are questions that I don't think many people ask. Sometimes it's terrifying. Sometimes it's beautiful. Sometimes it's depressing. Maybe I'm just a manic, depressive person. Death upside down. It's can we finally nip some karmic freaking thing in the bud and put that marker upside down? Put an X on that box. Okay, we did it. Let's not go around that merry-go-round of pain anymore. And how do we sit with it? Reality check yourself. And, the Catholic Church has something called confession, where you go in and confess your sins. And the priest gives you absolution and brings you back into the community. Practices like this. If you sin against the community, then you come in and you make atonement, and they welcome you back in. If they didn't, they leave your ass out in the cold and die or get eaten by a beast. That same happenstance is on a spiritual level. When you sin against God, the Holy Spirit, humanity, that pushes you out of the community of saints, of angels. And sometimes it might not be these big bad things that we've done, but just small little things adding up, and then all of a sudden we're out there lost at sea with no freaking skylight, without any guidance from the stars to help us on our way. And it's us who puts ourselves out there. God, the universe, does not. It's constantly calling us in and up and forward. We go back on our own volition. At the end of the day, go back in time from when you're laying down to how you went through your day. Is there improvement that could be made? How about yesterday? Was it better than yesterday? How about last week? How about last month? How about last year? How about 15 years ago? How about when I was 5? How about when I was in my mother's womb? How about in my last life? That's how you do regressions. I can't remember what I did yesterday. I'm never going to have a past life regression. Sometimes I think maybe there's stuff in our past that we don't want to dig up. We left it back there for a reason. South Node Scorpios type stuff. What do we want to put in the past? What do you want to drop in the black void of nothingness? Ultimately, forgiveness and mercy, unfathomable, is that black box. Which is why they pray to the cube, and it has to do with our mother goddess, Saturn and Earth together. The Tesseract. I just was talking about Scorpio upside down, the death card upside down. Sometimes I can feel like we're not dying to that thing that we need to. This thing is killing us. We need to dead it. Have a little funeral for it. Write its name. Make a little boat out of it. Take it to a pond. Light it on fire and send it off and sing a hymn of the good times, the bad times. I'm moving forward forevermore. That's what paper boats are for. And I got a new ship, a new vessel, the mothership. That's why they would name boats like St. Anne. It's always a female's name because the mother goddess. Something we've totally missed out on. We get the mother goddess in Scorpio, a female water sign in the air quadrant, so it's kind of masculine too. But she's a sex. And through dying to your former self, she brings you through it's Scorpio where you have the initiation of sex. After the wedding date at Leo. The preparation for the wedding, Virgo. The romantic dating, Leo. That first feeling of soul Cancer. So right now we're having new feelings of soul, childlike, romantic laughter opportunities there. The heavens are conducive for such energy. When this opposition happens, it's going to ask us to bring it into material. You're going to have this inspiration, this vision. This is going to ask you to plant it deep into Earth. Pluto, deep. Capricorn, Earth, constructions. Building new things that will last. Acting for a bigger cause, for perhaps even your legacy. Thinking about, is this really, am I living a life that's leaving a legacy behind? And don't use your children as, oh, my legacy is with my children. I mean, I get the sentiment, but you get what I'm saying, right? Am I right? Ooh, Knight of Swords going forward. We do have the going forward energy, but I think there's a little bit of like leaping before you look energy. And acting and then thinking later about it. So let's just make sure we're doing things from our heart space. And that could be a good reflection of the space of our heart, how our first reaction is to something. If somebody cuts you off, and your first reaction is cursing, banging, flipping off, that's probably a sign that we're not in the best heart space. Be red in the face instead of in that heart space. And I know people will be pulling out in front of me, and it's natural. It's natural. But we're being called to be supernatural. But we also have to make sure that we're not going forward crazily. We need to be strategic. We need to use the mind, not get used by the mind. But also be courageous. Leo's all about being courageous. Then we get the 8 of Rods, another minor arcana. You know, I want to say it's not as much work as we think it is. That we're called to have a little bit of faith in our dream. If we don't believe in our dream, how are we going to have others believe in it? We go through trials, ordeals. This is a training ground for the growth of our soul. And what grows our soul? The water from heaven. How do we get the water from heaven? We make ourselves a vessel, a vehicle that can hold it. And from those sacred waters, we grow the kingdom of heaven on earth through our very little actions and even thoughts. And then those good heavenly thoughts slowly build up on each other, and then we could get cut off in the middle of the freaking interstate, go from 60 miles per hour to 0 and swerve off the road nearly. And our first thought won't be curse this person, but rather bless this person. I hope they're all right. Maybe I could help them with a freaking lesson in driving. Could be your future freaking wife. You don't even know. And so we just have that attitude. I think this life would be good. And it's a reflection about your attitude, about yourself. If somebody's really loving towards themselves, which is Cancer season is helping us to do, hopefully being loving towards ourselves, we that will reflect into others, obviously. If we're not loving ourselves, are we loving others? Some like overly like serve others because I think they're not serving themselves. Virgo and Pisces that's one of their things. And even Sagittarius, it preaches a bunch, and it could be somebody who doesn't do any of that stuff. Total hypocrite. But they could be a good preacher. But they could just be eating a lot, living a lavish lifestyle. Who cares? They're jovial. Which I think July is named after Has to do with Jupiter, maybe. So, summertime. We're going to enter into the middle of summer, but now still the beginning. We have a hope and optimism for a beautiful summer. July 5th, after July 4th, which used to be July 4th, Independence Day in America, 4th of July. It's no wonder they put that there intentionally. Our sun is conjunct the brightest star in the night sky, Sirius, Isis, so we haven't seen her for a while. And that happens in the sign of the mother of Cancer. And then she'll make her appearance. I think she rises in about 30 days. I think we can't see her for about 16 after that. Because if stars are too close to the sun, we can't see them. I don't know why I didn't think about that until I was older. That Jupiter in Pisces is death by water. So we could invite those waters of death to help us to die to an illusion. And that illusion might have things attached to it, physical attachments. But with this trine, so a trine's a gift. So we're going to have a gift from Neptune and Pisces, which can be Christ consciousness, which means like having a feeling that we're all together and connected. And so that evokes empathy and mercy and compassion and a beautiful light covering our imagination, our dark hidden spots being given beautiful healing water, Pisces, that clean, purify, like a virgin, opposite sign Virgo. So I feel like we have a real washing of our imagination, and that it might be a more heart-centric and less head-centric. And when it's really coming from that place of the heart, it's void of fear. But that's what love does. It pushes out the fear. So I like to leave on that note. My lovers, I love you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great July. At least hopefully this was entertaining somewhat. Farewell. Farewell from the Aquarian outro song.